What's up, MS Gymmers? How you guys doing? Welcome to Motivation Monday. Let me adjust this camera real quick so I don't have a light over my head. All right, there we go. So I know I'm a little bit later today. I'm just going to let you guys know that on Mondays now, my schedule has switched up a little bit. And my morning schedule has, so my Motivation Mondays are going to be a little bit later on Mondays from now on. So I was doing them around 12 o'clock or so, and now it's looking like, and it's been more consistent, where it's between like 1 and 2:30, something like that. So for those of you that are planning to see me live, I typically will probably start doing them a little bit later in the afternoon, like a 1 to 2 Mountain Time, which is a 3 or 4 Eastern Time, okay? So just to give you guys a little housekeeping. So we're in part 5 of this series about MS Gym Warriors versus MS Gym Worriers, all right? And today's message that we're going to be talking about is a little bit like kind of a part 2 going deeper from last week, where I asked you guys, are you all in? Like, are you committed? Or are you just kind of enrolled, right? Are you all in, or are you just signed up? Are you going after it, learning the stuff, really seeking after the knowledge to actually take the information that you have and the practices that you have and advance your world and get better and improve? Or are you just hoping that because you're signed up and because you show up and watch some videos and read some emails, that magically MS is just going to be counteracted, all right? So today we're going to talk a little bit more about what the more in-depth meaning of going all in means. And that word is surrender, okay? So surrender is kind of a strange word. For a lot of the world, surrender means I give up. Surrender means I'm gonna lay down and you're coming at me and you're attacking me and you're too much for me, so I'm just gonna lay down and please don't hurt me anymore. I'm out. Raise the white flag. Like, take me, put me in bonds, put me in chains, and I'm yours. I'm your slave. But truly, like when you look at the historic meaning of surrender, and you really look at kind of the philosophical meaning of surrender, there's power in it. So surrendering to something that can actually defeat your opponent is a powerful form of surrender. And when you think about MS and you think about you are you, right? And if somebody had to characterize you, you could either give them a choice, like, do you want to tell them all the good? If somebody's like, so tell me about you, and you had a choice to tell them all about your strengths, how great you are, your sense of humor, what you've accomplished, how much you love your family, whatever it might be, would you rather tell them this? Or if somebody asked you about yourself, would you tell them, I'm pretty ugly, I smell bad, I'm losing my hair, I'm about 40 pounds overweight, I've never done anything with my life, I'm pretty much hopeless, I'm kind of wasted potential, people don't expect much out of me because I really haven't done anything with my life. Like, what would you choose to tell someone? You'd probably tell them the good stuff. I hope you would, right? If not, that's a different conversation. But most people would tell someone, if they're like, well, tell me a little bit about you. You would try to think about things that are good, things that are strong, things that are bold, things that are lovely, things that are noble about yourself, things that you've done that made you proud, things that you've done that have helped someone else, things that you've done that have made you happy, ways that you've loved people, adventures you've taken, things you've accomplished, mountains you've climbed, all that kind of stuff. And that part of you is light, is good, is the good stuff. The other stuff is dark, the nasty, the ugly, that all of us carry around, but what we choose to focus on and what we choose to speak about and what we choose to use to represent or use as fuel to represent who we are is our choice. Do we choose the light and the good stuff about ourselves to represent to the world and say to ourselves and say to other people, or do we live out in darkness and the ugly? So when your enemy and your opponent is coming at you, when something's coming at you, like, and we'll just use in the sense of like warriors, and like you're in battle, your enemy and your opponent's coming at you, and you have one of two choices. You either surrender to that enemy and let them have their way with you to do whatever they want, or you surrender to the truth that you can beat this enemy. no matter how big they look, no matter how big their army is, no matter how violent they are, no matter how strong they are, no matter how formidable you think and you've been told your opponent is, if you believe that you can beat this opponent, if you believe that you can cut off this giant's head, if you believe that with the knowledge in your head and by the skills that you've gotten and you've attained and your heart, your bravery, your courage in your heart, you can take out that giant who looks like they could squash you, but you're like, nah, man, not today. That is surrendering to the truth inside of you that you know that you are greater than that opponent who's trying to kill you. That's surrender. You're surrendering to the truth. You're surrendering to belief. You're surrendering to hope. And really, you're surrendering to the fact that you can heal. The fact that you are not stuck. The fact that you can overcome your MS monster coming at you because you have what it takes. And when you believe that, and on a daily basis, you use that truth to battle the negative stuff coming at you, that is surrendering to the light, surrendering to the truth. And it is not, once you believe, once you're like, dude, I can beat MS, it doesn't get easier. It actually gets harder because you've taken a stance against your enemy and you stood up to him and be like, you're not taking me out. And he just looks at you and he's like, what? You're like this big and I'm like this big and I'm going to take you out. But you actually gird your loins and you sit here and you're like, bring it, dude. And then the battle starts. So the minute that you decide that you're all in, all of a sudden, the battle starts. It doesn't start before you claim that you're all in. It starts when you're all in. At that point, you've made a decision that you're going to go towards healing. You're going to design a life by yourself, and you're going to go after your future. And that enemy's like, no, because that gets in the way of my plan, and that's not going to happen. So then, therefore, there becomes this very stark contrast between your light and their dark. So warriors, MS Gym warriors, surrender to the truth that they can heal. MS warriors surrender to the lie that their future is destruction. So when we talk about surrender, again, it's knowing, believing, and holding on to dear life, to the truth that healing is possible. Holding on to the truth that Trevor is actually talking about neuroplastic change in the body and that what he's saying is real. And it makes sense. It feels good because it's truth. The brain can change. The brain can heal. And when the brain changes, heals, and learns new stuff, it makes the body change, heal, and perform better. And perform differently in a way that counteracts MS because the way that your body was previously working allowed for MS to happen. So warriors, when I say surrender, what I also mean by that is they don't rely on their current understanding. They don't rely on their current body of knowledge. They don't rely solely on their circumstances to tell them, and they don't rely on that as their only weapon to design their future. Meaning that they refuse to let today's circumstances dictate tomorrow's outcomes. So if you never learned one single thing about MS, nothing else right now about MS, and you just took what the doctor said, what your family said, what your experience in the past 10, 20, 30 years has been, every single program you've tried and failed, every single time you've tried to exercise and failed, every single time you've tried to combat MS, but it became too exhausting, too fatiguing, and it just took too long, right? If that's all you had to go on, you might as well just pack it in and go home because you're not going to get better. Period. MS Gym warriors surrender to the fact that they need to seek out the truth. They need to expand their knowledge base. They need to seek after the correct information that resonates with them in their heart, which just makes sense of like, that makes total sense why my foot does this. That makes total sense why neuroplastic change can happen because we have 9.6 quadrillion neural networks in our body to try and help us combat MS. That just makes sense. So I'm going to keep going down this path, trying to gain more knowledge and education because knowledge is power. And actually applied knowledge with reflective experiences, that is power. That is surrendering to the truth. The truth is there's way more information out there for you to learn. There's way more options out there for you to explore. There are way more paths that you need to go down to actually gain the evidence. I dare you to go disprove the fact that neuroplasticity works. I dare you to go disprove the fact that exercise in a neuroplastic format where you're actually working from brain out doesn't work. Like, go disprove me. And I challenge you to do that, because when you go look at the research, which I have pages and pages and pages and pages of research, you're going to find the truth. And in the process of going towards that truth and seeking that truth out of spite to disprove me, you're going to actually realize, holy crap, I can actually get better. That's surrendering to the truth. Now, worriers sit in their current comfort zone. Misery can be comfortable. Pain can be comfortable. Dysfunction can be comfortable. Anger, depression, anxiety can be comfortable. And remember what I said, no matter how dysfunctional your comfort zone is, your brain likes to stay there. And it will continue to stay there until you do something different a lot of times through consistent practice to show it that another path is actually safer, more beneficial, and more healthy and preferred. So your brain will actually allow you and will force you to stay in your comfort zone if all you want to do is stay in your comfort zone and you don't actually step out of that comfort zone to actually take a chance to see if this whole MS Gym thing works, to see if the 1,200, 1,400 success stories are actually true. You'll sit in your comfort zone. You will sit there if you're a worrier, and you will use your current experience to be the expert on what works and what doesn't. Well, I tried this, and 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 this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. I've even tried some of the MS Gym stuff, and after 2 weeks, my foot drop that I've had for 10 years didn't get better, so this doesn't work either. So you're like, so the worriers sit in their current experience of failure and try to tell everybody else that that is the truth, which it is not. That is a lie. Because the thing is, you guys, is that past failures mean nothing. Past failures have no bearing on your outcome, your future, or your success unless you use your past failures as a learning experience to advance yourself forward. So with someone that sits there as the arms crossed, legs crossed expert about, I've had MS for 25 years, I've tried everything and nothing works. This is a crock of crap. This is a whatever. This is a scam. This is flighty stuff. This is trendy stuff. My neurologist doesn't even agree with this. My PT doesn't agree with this. Like, this stuff doesn't work. All they're doing is they're pulling from their past experiences, and they're sitting there like an old man set in his ways, all stubborn, being like, nah, I don't believe in new technology. I don't believe computers are going to take off. I don't believe in this cell phone thing. I don't believe in this cloud-based information system. How are they going to store information in the cloud? That doesn't even work. Like, what do you mean that there's going to be, like, you're going to be able to text someone in Japan in, like, 1 minute? Like, what is that? Like, that is literally how your brain works when you are stuck in the darkness. There's ignorance in your lack of wisdom. And there's arrogance in your lack of wisdom because you can't really, like, even comprehend the fact that you could be wrong. Because you've convinced yourself that it's better to be miserable because there's no hope in healing from MS, because it's not worth the effort, because I'm just going to get disappointed again. So really, that skepticism, that cynicism, and that anger that comes from people who are literally surrendered to the lies that MS is going to win is coming from a place of fear, because they really do want to get better, but yet they're so afraid to try something new because everything else in the past has failed. And I get that. I get that. That's completely understandable, and you're completely free to think like that. But it's not going to get you anywhere. The fact of the matter is that neuroplasticity works, movement training works, mindset training works, education gives you tools and weapons to fight against MS, and once you understand your body better, you will be able to counteract it better, you will be able to advocate for yourself better, and you will feel more in control and more powered in your life, which will reduce your threat bucket, which instantly leads to more neural availability to help you combat and counteract your MS symptoms. So with surrender comes waiting. Okay? So it's not just a one-way flag and like, I surrender to the truth, let's do this, and tomorrow I'm expecting results. No. You have to go through the daily process and daily discipline of surrendering yourself to the truth and believing that you can actually heal even when your circumstances don't provide evidence for that. And what I mean by that is even if you say, I'm all in, dude, I'm ready to roll, let's go, I'm surrendered out, I believe I can heal, there's still 5 years, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of damage to overcome. There's still 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of bad neurologic patterning to overcome. There's still 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years of bad thinking habits and brain habits and stinking thinking and hurt and abuse and neglect to overcome, to believe that you are actually worthy and you actually deserve to heal. So it's not an overnight process. Surrender is a daily discipline that you need to get up, ready to receive and ready to take action on. Because when you truly do surrender to the fact that you have the absolute capability to impact and design your world and your life and your future, then you fall into the truth. And when you start falling into that truth and you start looking for ways that you're improving, then you start seeing improvement. And when you see improvement and you reflect back on what did I just do to get that improvement, you gain wisdom through experience. And when you gain wisdom through experience, you then become more knowledgeable, and then you start to love what you're doing. And when you're driven and all of a sudden you're sparked by love, that means you're sparked by hope. That means that you're looking and you're seeing further ahead, being like, oh my gosh, I actually have a future. And then at that point, you become passionately fired up about it, and that is going to drive you through those hard days. So when you surrender, it leads to hope, and hope leads to truth, and truth leads to wisdom, and wisdom leads to love, and love leads to ignition, fire, explosions, and those aha moments when you're like, how did this happen? I'm all of a sudden picking up my leg. See, the thing is, when I say to wait, it doesn't mean sit idly and do nothing. It doesn't mean wait for the right circumstances, the right marriage, the right practitioner, the right equipment, the right schedule, the right job, the right this, the right that. There is no such thing. So suspend there is no such thing as the perfect situation to start healing yourself. But you do need to wait. And you need to work while you wait. Meaning that you need to practice your exercises, you need to practice your mindset, you need to use the resources in the membership or in the MS Gym, in the YouTube, in the free group, in the Instagram, and you need to get yourself educated on why your body's doing what it's doing, because when you know how MS is trying to attack you, you know how it's going to attack you, you can attack back and counterattack that much better. Because I can tell you from personal experience, my biggest losses and defeats in the battles that I fought in my life are when I lost because I was rushing the process. I was trying to get myself, Misty, businesses, family, whatever it is, to a specific destination because I thought I could get us there faster before the right time that we were supposed to be there. And most battles, if you look at movies or books or songs or whatever it is, most battles are lost because the person who's winning all of a sudden tries to go too fast and they're too desperate and they're too hasty and they make a mistake and they get crushed. But the victories come from sometimes those armies that are being like closed in on when there's 10,000 coming against 300 and the 300 have studied how the 10,000 actually fight and how their armies work, and they know that when that opposing army is ahead, it's going to try to do this, so it just sidesteps this way, bam, it knows what to do. So a lot of times when you wait and you work while you wait, it allows you to gain perspective, which gives you direction. And when you have direction, you gain knowledge of where you're supposed to go. And when you know where you're supposed to go, you can take appropriate, effective action. And when you have that appropriate, effective action, you gain wisdom from the fact that you took a step and that worked. So therefore, we should keep doing that. Or you took a step and that didn't work, so let's go back the other way and do the opposite. That worked, so let's keep doing that. So back to the talk that we had a couple weeks ago, when you wait and you wait for direction and you work while you wait to find that direction, to gain that knowledge, that helps clear your eyes. And when you have clear eyes, you have full heart because you're not being distracted by the fear and the lies and the stress and the confusion around you, so you can see what direction you're supposed to go. So waiting on the right time to act, or maybe react, or maybe change course, that helps clear your vision. That helps keep your eyes on fire. And that helps you gain understanding about what the heck is going on, gain understanding about how you work, how your body works, how MS works, and how the rest of the MS community the MOC is experiencing things, so you can help each other move ahead because somebody's going to understand you. So with understanding comes power. And that's why I'm so super focused. I'm switching so much of my focus towards educating you guys, because the MS Gym Education Program is going to give you guys power, because it's going to free you from the fear of the unknown, because when you're educated and you know, you have power, so you can't get blindsided, which blindsided sends you into a spiral of anxiety and fear. So when you have that understanding, you have that education, and you're working while you wait, that's when the aha moments happen. The light bulb. They're like, oh my gosh, how did that just happen? How did my arm just lift over my head? How did my leg just lift like this? How did I just change direction and not fall? How did I make it across that parking lot without my walker? How did I make it through a whole movie and not have to use the bathroom 5 times? How? All of a sudden, right? Sometimes you'll get all of a sudden moments that just happen, which is awesome. That's just like neurologic, like, oh, that was it, boom. And you nailed it. But more often than not, I would say 80-20, right? 80% of the time, those aha moments are going to come from long periods of process where you are following the steps, following the direction, following what you're supposed to do, grinding it out with a decided heart and a passionate vision. So therefore you have joy and exhaustion, but you get energy from it as you go towards your goal. It is during that process that you will hit those aha moments, which are the small victories that I always talk about. And finally, the best way to stay in that place of surrender, in that place of clarity, in that place of focus, in that place of strength, is to allow yourself to be peace-filled. And I struggle with this. Like, I'm a pretty fiery dude, and my entire life has been grind, achieve, go, work. You're tired, so what? Sleep for 3 hours, get up, do it again, you got this, go. That's been me. Like, I don't know how to be joyful, or I don't know how to be rest-filled. I actually, at one point, I had no idea how to be joyful, which I am now. I am working on figuring out what it is to be a peace-filled warrior. Some days I'm rocking it. Some days I feel peaceful and zen. I'm clear. I'm strong. I'm agile. I'm good. If anybody comes at me, I'm cool. I'm just dodging stuff. And there's other days, you guys, I fall flat on my face with anxiety, irritability, anger, frustration, impatience, all kinds of stuff. And those are the days when I know that I am not at peace. I am completely discontent, and I'm not walking in what I'm speaking to you right now. So I have to take a step back, read, pray, think, get myself right, move, think about what I say to you guys a lot, go back into my head, coach myself, and get back on the right track. Because see, the thing is, when you're fighting from a place of peace, a place of understanding, a place of wisdom, you're fighting from a place of confidence and strength, and therefore your chances of victory are astronomically higher. But when you're fighting from a place of stress and confusion and anger and doubt, you're almost guaranteed to lose. Because you're like, oh my God, I can't get this guy. I can't, You're just straining. And he's backing you up. And you're going to drop your hands once in exhaustion and boom, you're gone. Because like I said at the beginning, you guys, if you're constantly walking in this darkness of how you failed, what has failed you, who has failed you, and why everything else is going to fail you from here on into the rest of your days, you're walking in the darkness. And if you're fighting an opponent that is also dark in the darkness, how the heck are you ever going to make contact? That's just like me turning the lights off, putting a blindfold like over my eyes like this, and trying to hit, and I don't know where they're at, You cannot defeat the darkness if you're walking in the darkness yourself. So you need to start allowing yourself and coaching yourself and encouraging yourself to actually believe in this stuff. Believe in the Motivation Mondays. Believe in the membership. Believe in the membership community. Believe in the MS Gym. Believe in your coach. Believe in all the success stories you're seeing, and just take a chance. And take a decided chance. Take a focused chance. And that chance is lifting that foot and stepping forward. Or scooting your wheelie walker forward, or just rolling your wheelchair forward towards that TV or towards that device to press play and be like, let's see if this BGB boot camp sitting thing actually works. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right? You cannot beat the darkness if you're in the dark yourself. You can only beat a source of darkness when everything else is illuminated around you, because the contrast will be so big that that darkness stands out and you know right what you're aiming for. And you fight that darkness by moving every day, by clearing your mind every day, by de-stressing every day, by looking at your life every day and managing it and be like, I don't think I need this anymore. I need to distance myself from this. I definitely need more of this. I definitely need more of this person. I want to spend more time in the MOC because they make me feel good, and that takes away from my bridge club. But whenever I go to my bridge club, I'm always drained and feel like crap afterwards. So maybe I shouldn't do that for a while. Let's just stay where I'm happy. Let's stay with who fills me with light. Let's soar with the eagles instead of swimming in the swamp with the ducks, and let's hang out. Okay? So this constant state of surrender is actually a constant state of awareness, and a constant state of belief, and a constant state of hope, and a constant state of truth, and a constant state of knowing that you are greater than your circumstances, and with the support of a community like this, you can succeed. And if you follow the steps, something will change. It will change. 7 days a week of neuroplastic training, like, science is there, research is there, all the documentation says things will change. And I've seen it happen. I've yet to have someone not change at all. Meaning energy, focus, mood, like all that kind of stuff that maybe you can't see physically, but it's happening inside of you. That's where it might be. That's where it might start for you. Some people, victory may start with a foot drop lifting. Some people, it may be that, like, I feel like I don't want to kill myself today. Some people, it may be, look, I can raise my arm over my head and I believe. Some people would be like, you know what, I just had a 2-hour conversation with my son, and it was, I didn't get irritable, I didn't get tired, and I absolutely enjoyed him, and I'm alive because I'm communicating with my son again. Your first victory and where those victories start is different for everybody, but you've got to know and you've got to seek out where those victories start for you. So I hope this helps you guys today, and I just want you to know that, like, you are such in the right place. Like, you can surrender here, you can be vulnerable here, you can be weak here, you can collapse here, and we are just going to pick you back up. We're going to put you on our shoulders. We're going to lock arms with you, and be like, dude, I'm going to hold you like this, and I'm going to be behind you, and we're walking forward until you feel like you can put your feet underneath you again, because that's how we roll in the MS gym. So think about surrendering to the truth as a characteristic of strength instead of a flaw in weakness. Because it is true. So your body can change, your mind can learn, your mind can heal, your body can heal, and you can change your life to create a life by design and not by diagnosis. So I got you guys. I got your back. As always, I'm so proud of every single one of you that showed up today, that will show up tomorrow, that will watch this recording, and that will put movement practice into action, mindset practice into action, getting educated on MS into action, because like I said, with understanding comes power, and with power comes victory. And that's what we're all here for. So I love you guys. Have an awesome day. I will see you later.